She thought her best years were behind her, until one quiet night when something within her began to glow again, not from any cream or serum, but from a secret that had slept beneath her skin all along, waiting for her to remember. For years she had searched for the miracle in jars, in mirrors, in the reflection of other women who seemed untouched by time, and each time she looked, she felt the quiet ache of disbelief, that perhaps her glow had already faded. But what if beauty had never left? What if it was simply asleep, waiting to be reawakened by her own voice, her own breath, her own stillness before sleep? Tonight, as the world dims and silence gathers around her like silk, she begins to listen, not to the noise of aging, but to the whisper of renewal pulsing quietly beneath her skin. They once said that in certain ancient temples, women used to prepare themselves for sleep, not with fear of the morning, but with devotion to it, believing that the night was not for decay, but for resurrection. They would wash their faces not just to clean them, but to tell their bodies, "It is time to remember who you are." And as they rested, their minds softened, their hearts opened, and their cells listened. Because the skin, too, listens. It listens to the thoughts we think before sleep, to the peace or tension that we carry into the night, to the story we tell ourselves about beauty. For years she had told herself the wrong story, that youth was gone, that radiance was something to chase. That time was her enemy. But tonight she begins to rewrite it. She closes her eyes, and instead of counting years, she counts blessings. Instead of measuring lines, she measures light. And in that gentle shift, something happens, something invisible, yet real. The body begins to respond, not to the mirror, but to the message. Even the smallest thought of self-kindness ripples beneath the surface like warmth beneath the snow. The truth is, the body never forgets how to heal. It only waits for permission. And tonight, she gives it. Every breath is an invitation to soften, every exhale a surrender, every heartbeat a quiet reminder that life still flows within her with the same rhythm it always did. She remembers a story she once heard of women in a small Japanese village by the sea, whose faces remained smooth and luminous well into their 70s. It wasn't because of rare oils or expensive rituals, but because they had learned the art of sleeping beautifully. Before lying down, they whispered gratitude to their reflection, not vanity but reverence, thanking their skin for protecting them, their bodies for carrying them, their years for teaching them. Then they would breathe slowly, imagining the moon washing over them like liquid silk, feeding every cell with calm light. Science might call it relaxation, spirit calls it remembrance, because when you fall asleep believing in your beauty, your body listens. The mind releases the day's tightness. The nervous system finds harmony. The skin opens, the heart slows, and the deep restoration begins. No cream can replace what faith in oneself can awaken. The glow, after all, is not painted on. It rises from within. Sometimes she wonders when she began to fear the mirror. Maybe it was when the first fine line appeared and she thought it meant loss. But what if lines were not proof of aging, but of wisdom? What if they were like soft rivers that mark where joy has flowed, where laughter has lived? Tonight, she decides to see differently. She imagines her reflection smiling back, not younger, but freer. Her skin no longer a surface to perfect, but a story to honor. The beauty she seeks is not gone. It has simply evolved, waiting to be recognized through new eyes. There is a stillness that happens when you stop fighting time. The body exhales, the cells expand. The mind releases the invisible armor. And in that surrender, youth returns. Not the youth of age, but of spirit. Even experts can't explain why some women seem to glow no matter what they use. But maybe it's not what they put on their skin. Maybe it's what they stop carrying inside. The weight of comparison, the fatigue of self-judgment, the quiet war against their own reflection. When those are released, beauty flows naturally. Tonight, as she lies still, she lets go. The room is dark, but inside her, light begins to stir. She can almost feel her skin drinking the silence, her heart sinking with something ancient and gentle. It is said that in Egyptian times, women would anoint themselves before rest, not to attract others, but to align with the divine feminine, to remind themselves that beauty was sacred energy, not decoration. And though centuries have passed, the truth hasn't changed. The most powerful beauty ritual is peace. She imagines that peace now, wrapping around her body like a soft blanket of light. Her breath deepens, her shoulders drop, the stories of the day dissolve. Every part of her begins to rest. The body, at last, can repair what the mind has stopped wounding. The cells, freed from stress, begin to renew. This is not magic. It is nature obeying her belief. Because every thought before sleep becomes a command the body listens to. When she thinks, "I am tired, I am old, I am fading," her body obeys. But when she whispers, "I am glowing, I am soft, I am free," her body listens too, and something within begins to bloom. It does not matter that the world outside rushes or ages. Within her, time slows, reverses, bends to her softness. The secret, she realizes, was never about fighting time. It was about befriending it. Because beauty doesn't vanish with years. It deepens with awareness. What if this is what the ancient women knew all along? That beauty is not a surface, but a frequency. That glow is not applied. It is remembered. As she drifts deeper, she feels gratitude rise like warmth in her chest. Gratitude for the breath that keeps her alive, for the skin that has carried her through seasons, for the soul that never stopped believing. And as she sleeps, her body begins its quiet miracle. Blood flows where once it was constricted. The heart releases tension. The skin softens. The night becomes her ally, her co-creator, her silent healer. There is nothing more to fix, only to feel. Because in feeling peace, she becomes beautiful again. The moonlight, though unseen, touches her through memory. Somewhere deep inside, the cells awaken to an ancient rhythm, one that has pulsed through women for centuries, the rhythm of renewal, of night and dawn, of endings that lead to beginnings. And when she wakes, she will not just see a different reflection. She will feel a different presence, that quiet knowing that beauty was never lost. It was only sleeping, waiting for her faith to return. As she drifts, the final thought forms like a prayer. Every night is a chance to begin again. Every dream is a whisper from youth calling her home. She smiles faintly in the dark, knowing she doesn't need proof, because she can already feel it, the soft tingling beneath her skin, the quiet music of rebirth humming through her blood. The glow is coming. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now as she sleeps. They say that the skin is the most honest part of us, that it remembers every smile, every sorrow, every sleepless night. Yet it also remembers every act of love, every moment of stillness, every whisper of belief. Tonight, as she sinks deeper into rest, her skin listens to something it has not heard in years, the silence of peace. There was a time when her nights were restless, filled with plans and worries, when her mind raced through the noise of the world long after her body had begged for quiet. The world had taught her that youth was something she had to chase, to preserve, to fight for. But no one had ever told her that stillness could be the greatest beauty ritual of all. And so, for years, she had forgotten how to rest beautifully. But now, under the gentle hum of darkness, she rediscovers it. The ancient rhythm, the feminine rhythm, the breath that heals more than any product could. Each inhale feeds her with quiet strength. Each exhale releases years of tension. It feels as if her soul is finally unclenching. There is a science behind this, though it feels more like magic. When the body softens into trust, when the mind stops resisting the night, the deepest healing begins. Cells regenerate faster, the skin drinks in oxygen, the nervous system returns to harmony. Even her heartbeat begins to dance in the rhythm of restoration. In this quiet, she senses something awakening, the forgotten power of being, not doing. Because beauty, she realizes, is not an act of effort. It is a state of grace. She had spent years applying, scrubbing, tightening, all the rituals of resistance. But beauty doesn't bloom through resistance. It blooms through surrender. The moment she releases control, life begins to move through her again. It's as if every cell is whispering, "Thank you for letting go." Somewhere deep within, her younger self stirs, not the one defined by age, but by wonder. The one who once looked in the mirror and saw possibility, the one who smiled at her reflection because it felt like sunlight. That self is not gone. She has simply been waiting for permission to return, and tonight she does. There's a warmth that rises through her. Not heat, but energy. The quiet pulse of aliveness. It's subtle but real, like the soft vibration before dawn when the earth begins to breathe again. She feels it under her skin, behind her closed eyes, around her heart. The body always knows how to return home when we stop running. In ancient African traditions, women used to say that sleep was sacred because it allowed the ancestors to whisper to the living. And those whispers carried healing. You are still beautiful. You are still worthy. You are still loved. Whether one calls them ancestors, angels, or memories, the effect is the same. Peace seeps in. And peace is the soil from which glow grows. She feels it now, not as words, but as presence. Her hands, once restless, are still. Her breath, once shallow, deepens naturally. The world outside fades, but within, she feels more alive than ever. Perhaps this is what it means to age gracefully, not to resist time, but to flow with it, to listen to the wisdom it brings. She realizes that beauty was never meant to stay the same. It was meant to evolve, to mirror her soul's journey. Each line, each curve, each softness tells the story of survival, of laughter, of love. How could that not be beautiful? Even experts can't explain the light that some women seem to carry no matter their age. But maybe it's not a mystery to solve. Maybe it's faith made visible. Because when the mind believes in beauty, the body follows. She remembers reading once that when people meditate before sleep, their cells absorb oxygen better, their circulation improves, and their stress hormones drop. But beyond the science, there's something deeper. The language between thought and flesh. Every gentle thought before sleep is like a lullaby the body listens to. You are safe. You are healing. You are beautiful. And the body answers, I remember. She smiles softly as this thought forms, her mind no longer trying to control, only to receive. There is no effort now, only flow. She imagines her skin drinking the silence, every pore opening to peace. She can almost see the glow forming, not as light but as softness. This is what renewal feels like, not fireworks, not instant change, but a deep, calm certainty that something has shifted. She wonders, what if this is the real secret that women of the past understood so well? The secret that modern life forgot. That sleep is not the absence of activity, but the peak of transformation. That while the world sleeps, the body is reborn. In temples of old Japan, they said that the goddess of beauty slept with a mirror beneath her pillow, not to gaze upon herself, but to remind her spirit that reflection and soul are one. When the heart rests, the face follows. When the mind forgives, the eyes soften. When the soul trusts, the glow returns. And now she feels that truth moving through her veins like music. Each beat of her heart is an affirmation. I am still becoming. The beauty she once thought lost was never gone. It was simply waiting for this quiet reunion with herself. As she lies still, a memory surfaces. Her mother's voice telling her as a child that night was when angels stitched the soul back together. She used to laugh, imagining tiny hands weaving light through her dreams. But maybe her mother was right. Maybe every night something sacred really does happen, something beyond what we can see yet deeply felt. Her breath slows to the rhythm of the unseen hands working within her, repairing, restoring, reawakening. There is no rush, no chase, only trust. And in this trust she feels the return of her essence, that timeless feminine presence that no mirror can measure. She is no longer trying to look young. She is remembering that she is eternal. The body, hearing this truth, obeys. Muscles soften, tension dissolves, and her face seems to rest in a new way. Even as she sleeps, the message continues to echo in her cells. You are not aging. You are unfolding. The glow that will greet her in the morning will not come from youth regained, but from self-love restored. It will be the kind of glow that no product can promise, the kind that rises from peace, from softness, from being whole. This is the secret women across generations have always shared in whispers, the power of believing in one's own light. She is part of that lineage now, and as she drifts into the deepest part of sleep, her last thought is not fear, but gratitude. Gratitude for the chance to begin again, for the body that still listens, for the night that still heals. Because every night is a new chapter. Hand every dawn a quiet proof that beauty never fades. It simply changes form. When she wakes, the mirror will not surprise her. It will recognize her. The reflection will not be new. It will be true. The night has done its work, and so has she, by simply believing. There is a sacred moment just before the body fully surrenders to sleep, a threshold between worlds where the mind is still aware, but the soul begins to speak. It is in that quiet in-between where transformation begins. She floats there now, between thought and dream, feeling the edges of herself blur into something vaster. For so long she had believed that beauty was measured in reflection, but tonight she begins to sense it as vibration, an invisible hum of harmony between body and spirit. The air feels different, almost alive, as though the night itself is listening to her heartbeat. Somewhere deep inside, the old narrative is dissolving, the one that said aging was decline, that radiance belonged to youth. In its place grows a gentler truth. Beauty is not something she must keep. It is something she can remember again and again each time she returns to herself. Her breathing slows. Her body, once tense, begins to trust the darkness. The quiet becomes a soft cocoon, and within that cocoon her skin begins to glow, not from light, but from life. There is a science to this, though it feels like prayer. When the mind enters calm, the body releases melatonin, the hormone of both sleep and renewal. The same molecule that tells her to rest also tells her skin to repair, her cells to renew, her heart to slow, her immune system to awaken. The body is not aging while she sleeps. It is healing. It is remembering its rhythm, its softness, its purpose. In that sense, sleep is not the end of the day. It is the beginning of becoming. She imagines each cell as a small star, glowing faintly, flickering back to life after years of dimming. The body is a constellation of memory, and tonight the stars realign. It feels sacred, like a quiet ceremony held in the cathedral of her own being. The more she relaxes, the more she realizes that youth was never about years, but about flow. The flow of love, of oxygen, of energy. When that flow stops, the face hardens, the eyes dull. But when it returns, everything softens, brightens, breathes again. She can almost feel it now. Like warm water moving under her skin, each heartbeat carries calm, each breath carries beauty. This is the alchemy that the ancients spoke of, not magic, but remembrance. In Egyptian night temples, women believed that the moonlight could enter their skin if they slept with hearts free of worry. They said the moon saw only what was true, not the surface, but the soul. And those who slept in peace woke radiant, as though the light had touched them from within. Whether myth or truth, she feels its echo tonight. She does not need to seek the moon. The moon is already inside her, woven into her cells, humming softly with each breath. For years she had searched for proof, in mirrors, in others' eyes, in formulas and rituals, but proof was never the point. Faith was, because faith is what makes the invisible visible. As she drifts deeper, she thinks of all the times she spoke harshly to herself, the years spent apologizing for her reflection, and then she forgives herself, not with words, but with warmth. Forgiveness, too, is a kind of beauty ritual. When the heart releases guilt, the body releases tension. The face softens. The eyes regain their light. The body blooms in the presence of self-forgiveness. She feels it happening. The wrinkles that once seemed heavy now feel lighter, as though each one holds a memory instead of regret. She no longer wishes them away. She blesses them. Every mark of time becomes proof of a life lived with courage, and that realization is radiant. What if beauty was never about perfection, but about peace? What if youth was never about the absence of years, but the presence of wonder? The questions drift through her like lullabies. The answers do not come in words, but in feeling, that quiet warmth that spreads through her chest and tells her that everything is exactly as it should be. Even the parts of herself she once resisted now feel tender, sacred, whole. She senses that this truly is what renewal means. It is not erasing what was, but loving what remains until it shines. The mind often tells her that it's too late, but the body knows better. The body knows that repair happens in darkness, that healing begins in silence. The night is not a pause, it is a womb. Each breath is a contraction of rebirth. Each dream is a seed of light growing beneath the soil of sleep. She is not losing beauty, she is gestating it. She feels it with certainty now, a soft knowing that does not need to be seen to be believed. Somewhere beyond her awareness, her blood carries nutrients to her skin, her muscles release toxins, her cells knit themselves back together. She doesn't need to understand it. She only needs to trust it. Nature has always known what to do. The river does not ask how to flow, the flower does not question how to bloom. And she too is nature. She too knows how to renew. The same intelligence that turns seeds into trees lives in her skin, in her bones, in her breath. How could she ever believe she was less than beautiful when she is made of the same mystery that paints the sunrise? The thought soothes her. The boundaries between her body and the night disappear. She becomes part of something vast, the quiet intelligence of existence itself. And that realization fills her with awe, the kind of awe that smooths the soul. As she drifts, she feels gratitude rising again, this time deeper. Gratitude for every moment she didn't understand, for every wrinkle that came with wisdom, for every night like this that invites her to remember. She whispers silently inside, "Thank you," though there are no words, only feeling. The feeling of enoughness, the kind of peace that makes the body glow before the morning even comes. When dawn does arrive, she will not need anyone to tell her she is beautiful. She will feel it in the way the light touches her face, in the way her reflection looks softer without her trying. The change will not be dramatic, yet undeniable. It will be the quiet kind of miracle, the kind that happens when belief meets biology. She may never fully explain it, but she will know. Something inside her shifted the night she chose to love herself again. The glow she once chased was never external. It was born the moment she began to rest in her own grace. And as she finally surrenders fully to sleep, her last thought floats like a feather through the darkness. Beauty is not something I have lost. It is something I am remembering, one peaceful night at a time. They say that the body heals in layers just like the heart, that the deepest restoration doesn't happen in daylight, but in darkness, when everything is quiet enough for truth to whisper its way through the cracks. Tonight, she feels that truth weaving through her. There is no noise, no effort, no need to fix anything. Only the soft hum of her own being returning to balance. It is strange, she thinks, how the world taught her to rush, to chase, to correct. Yet her body has always asked for the opposite: stillness, patience, faith. And as she lies there, between waking and sleep, she realizes that every cell inside her understands this language better than she ever could. The language of calm, the language of light becoming flesh. Her breath slows again, steady and warm, and she imagines each inhale as a wave of golden air sweeping through her body, washing away fatigue, dissolving the small worries that have clung to her for years. With every exhale, the weight lifts. Her chest feels lighter, her face softens, her body begins to trust again. Trust that it is safe to release, that it is safe to renew. And maybe that's the true secret behind radiant women. Not luck, not genetics, but trust. Trust in the night, trust in nature, trust in the miracle that happens when you stop fighting and start allowing. For so long she resisted. The passage of time, the reflection in the mirror, the seasons that marked her life. But now, as she rests, she feels a different kind of wisdom unfolding. The one that says time is not her enemy but her sculptor. That the moon doesn't compete with the sun. It simply shines when it is meant to. Perhaps beauty works the same way. It does not disappear. It only changes its rhythm. The beauty of 20 was fire. The beauty of 40 is light, softer, deeper, wiser, the kind that glows from inside, not to be admired but to be felt. She feels it now, pulsing quietly through her veins. The world may see her as aging, but the body knows another story. She is ripening, becoming fuller, more luminous in essence. Just as fruit deepens in sweetness with time, she too is maturing into her truest form. And that realization is freedom. Somewhere inside, Her cells rejoice in that acceptance. Because the body listens not only to stress and fear, but also to joy. Every grateful thought releases a gentle wave of chemistry: serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins, small messengers of peace that tell the skin to breathe again, the muscles to relax, the heart to open. The science is ancient and simple. Happiness heals, gratitude beautifies, peace glows. She feels that glow now, though her eyes are closed. It's not light she sees, but a sense of expansion, as if her entire being is softening into something infinite. She understands now why the wise women of the world always looked radiant, even when their faces were lined. Because beauty was never about the surface. It was the energy they carried, the energy of knowing who they are, the energy of no longer needing to prove. She thinks of them, the grandmothers, the mothers, the keepers of quiet wisdom, and feels part of that lineage. She imagines their whispers across time, joining her breath. You are enough. You are timeless. You are whole. The sound is not outside her, but within her bloodstream, within her breath. She can almost feel her DNA remembering its origin, the rhythm of women who healed through song, through silence, through surrender. And suddenly, it all feels clear. Beauty is inherited not through looks, but through peace. It is the calm of generations living through her. She feels tears rise, soft and grateful, not of sadness but recognition. For the first time in years, she's not waiting to become beautiful. She simply is. That quiet acceptance spreads warmth across her chest, down her arms into her hands. Even her fingertips tingle with life. The body is alive with agreement. Every system begins to sink. The heart slows, the breath deepens, the mind rests. The night air feels different now, thick with something sacred, as if the entire universe is leaning closer to witness this moment of reunion, woman and self, body and soul, beauty and truth. There is a silence here that feels like prayer, though no words are spoken. Just being is enough. Somewhere, far beyond the edges of thought, the body begins its quiet work. Collagen renews, the lymphatic rivers clear. The heartbeat sends oxygen-rich tides through her face, her neck, her skin. Each cell receives the message. She believes again, and belief is the greatest healer of all. Even experts cannot measure what faith does to flesh. They can study hormones, circulation, the visible signs of rest, but they cannot measure the invisible conviction that tells the body, I am safe now. I am loved. I am ready to glow. That belief changes everything. The skin responds not only to serums but to serenity. The body renews when the mind forgives itself for aging. That's the paradox of timelessness. It begins with surrender. She smiles softly as sleep deepens. Her mind floats between worlds, and in that space she feels like a child again. Innocent, trusting, open. She realizes that the child within her never left. She only grew quiet under the noise of self-doubt. And tonight she hears her again. The voice that once found joy in small things, the one that loved to twirl in sunlight, to trace clouds, to smile without reason. That spirit has been waiting patiently for her return, and now they meet again. Woman and girl, present and past, wisdom and wonder. The union feels electric, like a heartbeat of light. She is no longer at war with time, she is in rhythm with it. Every year, every night, every breath, all of it working together toward wholeness. She understands now that rejuvenation is not about turning back, but turning inward. The glow she seeks was never behind her. It was always within her. She just had to stop long enough to feel it. The air feels softer. The weight of the world is gone. The room, though dark, feels luminous from within. She could swear that if someone looked upon her now, they would see a faint shimmer on her skin. Not from light, but from peace. And when she wakes, she will not rush to check the mirror. She will already know. The transformation has begun. And then, somewhere in that sacred silence, she crosses the final threshold, the place where sleep becomes surrender, and surrender becomes creation. It is the deepest part of night, when even dreams seem to rest, when the body, guided only by its ancient intelligence, begins to rebuild itself from within. She feels it, though she cannot see it. The rhythm of her heartbeat aligning with the quiet pulse of the earth, the invisible threads of energy weaving her back into wholeness. This is where true beauty is born, not in the mirror, not in effort, but in this unseen realm of complete trust. For years she had thought of night as absence, the end of light, the pause before morning, but now she realizes it is abundance. The night does not take, it gives. It is the secret half of life that holds the key to renewal. While the world sleeps, the unseen world awakens. The body listens to every thought, every breath, every small act of softness, and responds with miracles. Her face, resting against the pillow, feels weightless. Her muscles melt into the bed as if the earth itself is holding her. Each exhale sends a ripple of release through her body. Each inhale draws in invisible nourishment. Oxygen moves like moonlight through her veins. Her cells sparkle with quiet joy. It is not imagination. It is biology and mystery dancing together. She doesn't need to understand it, only to allow it. Somewhere in her memory, she recalls a line she once read, that the human body replaces billions of cells every single night. She smiles faintly. Renewal has always been happening. She had just forgotten to believe in it. Faith, she realizes, is not only spiritual, it is physical. It changes chemistry, breath, expression, even the way light touches the skin. That is why women who believe they are beautiful seem to glow differently, not because of what they wear, but because their belief rearranges the energy around them. She can feel that rearrangement now. The air feels thicker with life. Her heartbeat feels slower but stronger. The body, once tired, now hums with purpose. Even the smallest details of existence seem sacred. The rhythm of her breathing, the softness of the sheets, the faint sound of silence. She is home, not in a place, but in herself. She realizes that this peace is the most powerful beauty secret of all, because the glow she will wake with tomorrow morning is not something the world gave her. It is something she remembered to receive. She thinks of all the women who will listen to this same ritual, all of them lying quietly in their own rooms, hearts heavy with the same longing to feel radiant again, alive again, worthy again. And she wishes she could tell each one, it is already happening. The night is doing its work. The moment you believed in your own light, the transformation began. It doesn't need your effort, only your permission. There is something divine about that realization. She feels a tear form, not from sadness but release. How many years had she spent fighting herself, doubting herself, trying to earn the beauty that was hers all along? But not tonight. Tonight she returns to her natural state, peace. And peace is magnetic. It draws in everything she once chased. As she sinks deeper, her mind drifts to ancient rituals. Women in desert sands whispering prayers to the stars. Women in mountain springs washing away the dust of the day. Women everywhere across time closing their eyes and trusting the dark. They were all doing the same thing she is doing now, letting go. Letting go of comparison, of control, of noise, letting life itself hold them. And that, she realizes, is the essence of feminine power. Not in striving, but in surrender. The power to renew by simply allowing. The more she releases, the more she feels herself expanding beyond identity, beyond age, beyond form. She becomes pure presence, infinite, soft, alive. Her soul, untethered, floats through memories of her younger self, touching them gently, forgiving them all. There is no regret here, only gratitude. Gratitude for every year that shaped her into this moment of wholeness. She understands now that aging is not decay. It is the flowering of essence. The petals may change, but the fragrance deepens. That is why some women grow more beautiful with time, not because they fight age, but because they finally live without fear. And as fear dissolves, beauty rushes in. She feels it now like a tide rising quietly from within. It is not youth she is reclaiming, but vitality, the kind that glows from the inside out, that moves through her posture, her tone, her presence. She does not need proof. She can feel it in her skin. She imagines her face softening as she sleeps, her muscles aligning, her skin drinking in stillness. Her entire being feels bathed in invisible light, the kind of light that morning will reveal not as something new, but something remembered. For the first time in years, she feels excitement for tomorrow. Not because she expects change, but because she knows it is already happening. Renewal is not a wish. It is a process written into her biology, activated by her belief. She is the alchemist of her own beauty. The night obeys her now, responding to her softness like the ocean to the moon. Every woman who listens and believes becomes part of that same current, a collective awakening of beauty that does not age but evolves. And when she finally drifts into the deepest sleep, her body continues the work her mind began, restoring, balancing, glowing. The cells hum their silent song of life, the skin breathes, the spirit smiles. By morning she will not just look different, she will be different. Not because of something added, but because of everything released. Her last thought before she disappears into dream is simple, yet eternal. I am light remembering itself. She smiles in the dark, her face serene, her energy luminous. And as she falls completely into sleep, the words echo softly through the silence as if the night itself is whispering them back. You are not aging, you are awakening, you are not fading, you are transforming, you are not done, you are beginning again. Every night is a new chance to be reborn, softer, brighter, younger. Sleep deeply now and let your beauty remember who you are.